Well, hello, our fellow friends, our fellow neighbors, and our fellow shining stars. Our next trolley stop is here, and our next trolley stop is now. Welcome back to another all new episode of PR from the Heart's Neighborly Reviews Bookcast. To be precise, we have reached episode number 41. That is the 41st trolley stop here at the Neighborly Reviews Bookcast, here at PR from the Heart. My name is John Masiulionis, the manager of PR from the Heart and the co-host of the Neighborly Reviews Bookcast, joined as always each and every month by my faithful furry friend and forever companion, now celebrating his second birthday technically from when this episode is premiering. He is actually one day post his second birthday, but he is also my faithful furry friend and forever companion, fellow co-host on the Neighborly Reviews Bookcast. Little Forrest is already chiming in and saying hello and joining us each and every month on the program as well. You remember him and you love him as the beloved Mr. McFeely on the popular long-running children's television program, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. We know him and we love him as David Newell. David, it is great to be back in the saddle. For those who have been with the program since day one, as we're going to be celebrating our 4-year anniversary in just a couple of months, people may have noticed the fact that, did we take some time off during the summer? Well, yes, for all the right reasons, because actually for the first time in approximately 30 years, you actually moved into a new residence. So you are now settled into your new habitat, your new digs on your end things. You're feeling a little bit more refreshed and recharged. So it's great to be back in the saddle with you. The month of September, we've got 2 brand new books that we're going to be sharing, but feel free to let the listeners and viewers know how you're doing, because you're now settled into a new residence. That's got to be such a good feeling.
It's a good feeling, but we're still living out of a few boxes. We've managed to find the coffee maker. We haven't found everything yet, but as you know, moving is it's physically draining, but also emotionally draining, because you're leaving a house where you raised 3 children, and that was. But we've adjusted. Our kids are all married in different parts of the country, and so we have a 1-floor patio home, which suits us just fine in Pittsburgh. So everything is slowly getting into place. But I'm taking time out tonight to talk to you about several different books, or 2 different books to be precise. So here I am, and are we ready to jump into a few of them?
We are, but of course we always like to have a little bit of housekeeping, as we always
Yes.
Each and every Neighborly Reviews Bookcast. If you are new to the program, if you are new to the neighborhood, what David and I do here on the program is we take the time as a little tip of the cap to his beloved character on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, Mr. McFeely. Mr. McFeely always delivered some wonderful packages. Oftentimes he delivered good news to his fellow neighbors. And so we take the time to do that. David, Little Forrest, and I, we deliver heartfelt reviews from the newest children's books that are available on the market from the world of those who are published in the world of children's literature and those whose journeys are beginning with self-publishing, because we're a firm believer that everyone puts their pants on the same way, unless you're Superman or Wonder Woman or Batman, and then maybe they might just hop into their pants, so to speak. But for a long period of time, we'll continue to be asked by parents, educators, librarians, what are some quality children's books that are available on the market? Especially, David, we're now fully in the midst of the back to school season, the start of the new school year. And it's really a good feeling for us to be able to provide. And I always go back to when Fred Rogers spoke in front of Congress to secure $20 million worth of funding for PBS. And he used this term in a little bit of a different way, but he told Senator John Pastore, he said, what I do through Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood is a resource of care. And in many respects, children's authors across the country and around the world, they're keeping the memory and the legacy of Fred Rogers alive in their own way while blazing their own trail, providing resources of care through children's books for kids to be able to enjoy. And it's interesting because you mentioned about moving, David, and when you're moving in life, that can also bring up some emotions. It can bring up some feelings, some big emotions, some giant feelings. And whenever we're moving through something new, whether it be change or just something new, it involves patience, it involves self-care, it involves compassion, it involves empathy. And above all else, it's so important that you remember that everything is going to be okay. Everything is going to turn out fine. So we literally have two perfect children's books that complement each other quite well. They're uniquely similar, yet they're uniquely different. So if your child, if your student is moving through some sensitivity, some emotions, whether it be with the start of the back to school season, maybe you've just recently unpacked and moved into a new residence on your end of things, or if your kids are just experiencing something for the first point in time, there's a lot of firsts when you're a child, David, whether it be, taking the time to learn to count, taking the time to learn how to tie your shoes. There's so many different firsts that we even experience as adults as well, too. So these two children's books that we're going to be discussing today and reviewing and spotlighting are absolutely perfect. If you're moving through some big emotions and feelings, if you're moving through some change, and you need to remember that everything is going to be okay. Now, while we continue the housekeeping, of course, each and every month here at the Neighborly Reviews Bookcast, we are proud to be able to pledge our support to our friends and neighbors at Reading is Fundamental Pittsburgh. They are the Pittsburgh chapter of the national non-for-profit children's literacy organization that provides children's books, developmental resources, and just a warm hug to children that come from low-income families all across the country, because not necessarily every single family has the resources to be able to provide children's books for their kids. And if you multiply that times, a city has many families. And so this is really where Reading is Fundamental comes in. Did you know, especially because, again, we're focusing on the Pittsburgh chapter of Reading is Fundamental Pittsburgh, did you know that last year, Reading is Fundamental Pittsburgh delivered more than 100,000 children's books to over, I believe, nearly 25,000 children in need? We encourage you to pledge your support. No donation is too large. No donation is too small. You can head on over to rifpittsburgh.org. You can make your donation. Perfect timing, because not only is it, again, the start of the new school year, but sooner than we know it, the holiday season will be just around the corner. So this is really a great time of the year to be able to pledge your support, not only for the children of Pittsburgh who want to be able to connect further to the love and joy of reading, but in many respects, if you remember, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood was filmed, recorded, produced in Pittsburgh. This is a way of, in many respects, keeping the memory and legacy of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood alive as well, too. So again, you can head on over to rifpittsburgh.org/donate. Again, we are proud and privileged and blessed to be able to pledge our support each and every month for Reading is Fundamental Pittsburgh through airing these Neighborly Reviews Bookcast episodes each and every month. And David, as I mentioned in the PR from the Heart Green Room, I am super excited because we are hovering around 20,000 subscribers via our official YouTube channel at PR from the Heart. So again, if you are new to the program, if you haven't had the opportunities to pledge your support here on our official YouTube channel, one of the many ways that you can do that is by subscribing to our official YouTube channel, sharing this very special trolley stop as well that you are now beginning to enjoy. That is episode number 41 of the Neighborly Reviews Bookcast. And also to share this on your favorite social media platforms, David, because, one of the things is that, social media, when it's used properly, it can really be a good vehicle to help out a lot of people. And again, especially for those children who are moving through, whether it be change in life, if they're moving through displacement, if they're simply just doing their part to remember that everything is going to be okay. Everything is going to turn out well. This is really where, especially when there's a lot of uncertainty in life, the certainty that we can give our children as parents and caregivers and custodians of our little ones, if we can help them to remember that everything is going to be okay, then they have the opportunity to just be kids and to enjoy childhood, and then be able to, trust the fact that everything that comes along the way, they're going to be able to handle perfectly, David.
Well, we'll get into the first book then, and we'll see how Snuggs is handled.
That is correct. And again, for those who are new to the program, we have our own version of the trolley here. Now, it is not the neighborhood trolley, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, but this is really like more of an imaginary trolley because, our trolley, it travels, right? So, of course, the trolleys, we like to say, It starts off here in San Diego. It goes over to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, which is, of course, where David still resides and where he hangs his hat, so to speak. And we've been really excited to be able to share for some time now the debut children's book from Ashley Donegan entitled Adventures of Snuggs. So the trolley heads from San Diego to Pittsburgh to the beautiful city of Kansas City. Again, you know, if you hear the term Kansas City, of course, they are the home of the two-time defending NFL Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. I'm sure that there's a lot of football fans. There's a lot of baseball fans as well, too. They love their barbecue in Kansas City. But Ashley's really doing her part to be able to not only let children in Kansas City know that everything is going to be okay, but children across the country and around the world. And it's interesting, David, before we crack the cover and dive into the pages of Adventures of Snuggs, one of the things that I really love about Ashley's work is that she's also an incredible mom, and she's really inspired by her daughter on her end of things. And when her daughter was only 2 years old, she received this inspiration for Adventures of Snuggs. And it's interesting because when we take a look at the cover of the book, which we're now sharing on screen, if you remember the beloved Peanuts, which Charles Schulz created many years ago, if you remember the character Linus, and he had his blue safety blanket, and he took his blue blankie with him wherever he went. When I received this book from Ashley, it literally was almost like this giant blue hug. It was almost like, you know, a version of Linus's blue security blanket in children's book form, so to speak. And it's a very simple and a very sweet story, but it has such an endearing message as well, too. So let us start at the top, the forefront, and the onset, David. Let us crack the cover. Let us dive into the pages of Ashley Donegan's Adventures of Snuggs.
Adventures of Snuggs, written and illustrated also by Ashley Donegan. And before we start to talk about the Adventures of Snuggs, I want to read the message that you sort of referred to from the author, Ashley. And she wrote, "This book is inspired by and dedicated to the light and every joy of my life, the sweetest girl who has ever lived, my daughter. Without her, I would never have the courage to write or publish this book, and she was my reason." And that is her inspiration, Ashley's inspiration, to write the Adventures of Snuggs. And Snuggs, you'll see what it is. It basically is a security blanket. And I can relate to this story too, because our son had a security blanket that we found just recently. We kept it. And it was down to about just a small bit of yarn that he had worked everything, pulled it all, but for years and years he kept that. And our daughter had a bear, and our youngest had some trucks. So I'm very familiar with the security blanket, so to speak. At any rate, the narrator of the book, or the storyteller, who I'm sure is based on Ashley's daughter, or maybe Ashley herself, is telling the story of Snuggs. And the story begins with the girl saying, before she came into the world and still in her mommy's tummy, her mom never thought that her baby would ever need a lovey. And a lovey is the security blanket. Well, the first illustration in the book has mom reclining on a sofa, and the family cat is perched on mom's pregnant stomach. Well, the girl's aunt picked out Snuggs for her. Now, she has now been born, and the aunt is helping with a security blanket. And she picked it out. Snuggs was her security blanket, and it would be the girl's new sidekick. So that's how close she was to this security blanket. Well, when the girl was only a few months old, Snuggs was her best friend. Even as she grew, Snuggs stayed the same, always by her side, and attached they became. Well, I enjoyed the book because it's in verse. And as you read the book, it seems like you're hearing a song, and at least that is my interpretation. And it has a rhythm to it. I like stories in verse, and this is really helpful. And I think children do when you read the book to them too. At any rate, her mom saw how much the girl loved Snuggs, and nothing kept them apart. She slept with Snuggs. She played outside on the swing with Snuggs. And even during thunderstorms, Snuggs was always there to keep her safe and warm. Snuggs even went to the doctors with her when she got her shots, and to which the girl said about shots, she simply said, yuck. She didn't like the shots, but Snuggs helped a little bit when she was getting those shots. But her favorite thing to do with Snuggs was to play hide and go seek. Yeah, she would hide under Snuggs, and her mom would try to find her. Now, Snuggs, so you can imagine it is probably a blanket that you can do that with. It's not a tiny blanket. It's a blanket that I imagine is a good size, so you could play hide and go seek. And Snuggs would always snuggle up to her when she was in her car seat, and then the drive didn't seem that long. Well, her cat appeared on almost every page, and seemingly the cat, this is my interpretation, was keeping an eye on Snuggs and the girl.
Mm-hmm.
And Snuggs often became a blanket for the cat, or as the girl says, a really cute hat for the cat. And you can see there's the verse coming in.
Yep.
But there was a problem.
Mm.
And that is when Mom had to wash Snuggs. The girl would wait anxiously until Snuggs came out of the dryer so she could feel the warm love of Snuggs. And this is a short story, and Ashley ends her story of Snuggs by writing that the world is a scary place, especially when you first get there. And growing up's hard enough. And sometimes you just need a little something to help you get there. And it says the end. So you read, and growing up is hard enough, but I like it. And sometimes you just need something to help you get there. And then you see the end. And oh, yes, on that page, there is a big heart and those words, and that's it on the page. But on the next page, there's a bonus. It is a photo, I assume, of Ashley's daughter, sound asleep and holding on to her Snuggs. And Ashley also did the illustrations that are perfect for the story. In a way, they remind me of what a child would draw. Some are like stick figures in a way. It's not. It's more of a child's drawing, and but they serve to tell this sensitive story. Those illustrations, and I like the end pages too. You know, the beginning pages on, and they are just pictures of a perfectly drawn heart and a simple drawing of a cat all over the end pages. And there's a statement on the back cover of the book, and it says it's for children of all ages. And then it says, and parents of sensitive and anxious kids might find it also relatable.
Right.
And that goes back to what you were saying, the support. It's really is a support for children and parents. So that is the very short, very speedy, I guess, story or the adventures of Snuggs. Again, written by our friend whose name is Ashley Donegan. So Ashley, thank you very much for that story and for including the photo of your daughter. We assume that is your daughter sleeping with her Snuggs. And security blankets are a wonderful thing. And I just wonder how many children do not have them. I think most children in some way have some form of a snug. Don't you think?
Well, yes to your question, and it's interesting because one of the things is, as I was preparing, this little Forrest and I were preparing together for episode number 41 of the Neighborly Reviews bookcast. It's interesting because in many respects, the calmness, the soothing that we give to our children, it's almost as if we're like an emotional security blanket for our children. We're not a physical blanket for our children, a physical security blanket. But when we, oftentimes, and remember, kids' minds and hearts are like sponges, especially when they're growing up. They're still nurturing, they're still growing, they're still developing. And when they hear from us, this is why even Fred Rogers was very apropos. He was very adamant about sharing the fact that, it's important that we not only be there with our children, but communicate with them in a way in which that they can understand, letting them know that it's going to be okay. Fred would always say, one of his famous quotes is, anything that is mentionable is manageable.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that is manageable is mentionable. And it's interesting because sometimes in life, especially as adults, we can overcomplicate the heck out of things, right? And Ashley puts this so beautifully at the last page of the story. This is one of my favorite passages in the book. The world can be a scary place, especially when you first get here. Growing up is hard enough, and sometimes you just need a little something to help you get there. And in many respects, that's what part of our role is as parents and caregivers and custodians of children, is just giving them that little something each and every day. It's also true about children's books, because this is one of the reasons why we've been proudly doing this program for going on 4 years now, is that, oftentimes, when children are moving through something, even if it's just a little bit of a down day, when they pick up a good book and they can immerse themselves in the story, you always feel better when you take the time to read a good children's book as well, too. And again,
and I think I mentioned this every bookcast, that reading to a child, the most important is the connection between the child and the parent. And in a way, the book is a vehicle. But in this case, it's an excellent vehicle, symbolic, to make that connection. And but I've always, and Fred, this came really from Fred Rogers, that you could be reading almost anything, that it's the importance of the connection between parent and child. Yes.
And but one of the things that I also love about this story, again, us as adults, we can take not only things in life way too seriously, we can tend to get either depressed or jaded, cynical, upset. We can run the different kinds of the range of the adult emotions, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we can sometimes forget that there is the inner child that is still within us. And this is why I still have this here in my office, David, and I proudly hold this up right here. This is me, little inner child John, still here. And I had a huge mop of hair, clip-on tie, pullover sweater vest, but I have this here in my office for a reason. I really feel that Ashley's presence and spirit and her inner child were present in the illustrations of the drawings, because again, us as adults, we can also be about trying to get to perfection. Does this look right? Is this the perfect drawing? Is this, we keep wanting things to be perfect, the absolute best. And there's not necessarily anything wrong with that, but to a certain extent, you just got to get to a point saying, you know what? Simplicity is best. When something comes from one's heart, it really is the perfect thing that can be created. So this is why you can really feel with every sense of the turning of the page, you can really sense that Ashley's inner child is present. So again, for example, when you have the little one and the cat in the story, and the little one is holding Snuggs, and you see the little hearts right above. It's perfect. And again, this is something that especially, you could easily say that this book might be for more earlier kinds of children. Even this could be a story that you can read to with your little ones, maybe even before they're really sound developers of reading. But this is a story that Forrest and I enjoyed. And David, full transparency, I just turned 43 a few weeks ago. And so the perfect thing about a good children's book is that, I mean, obviously you have to have a certain age that it's geared towards for the promotional, the marketing, the publicity purposes. But the perfect children's book really has no age limit. It's basically from 0 to 100, so to speak, right? And even I'm assuring like this would be a perfect book. I'm not sure if I've ever phrased it this way, but I think this would be a perfect children's book for all those who are living in assisted living facilities to enjoy, because oftentimes, when you're at the end of your life and or you're just kind of wondering, what's going to happen, like, you blink and then your life is, you're in your, your 90s, or you're going to be 100, and it's a matter of like, how long do I have to live? And it's a fresh reminder of the fact that everything is going to be okay, that everything is going to turn out well. And in many respects, oftentimes, even better than you can expect that. Now, again, one of the many ways that you can pledge your support for Ashley, you can head on over to her official website. You can also head on over to Amazon.com if that's your preferred online vehicle of your choosing. You can leave a 5-star review for Adventures of Snuggs. That lets Ashley know that she's doing wonderful and much needed work for children, parents, families, educators, and for those who love great children's books. Again, a lot of parents and grandparents are already doing their part to get the perfect holiday gift, whether it be Christmas or Hanukkah or Kwanzaa. The holiday season is literally just around the corner. And so this is a great book, especially whenever, David, we turn from one year to the next, right? We always look into it with anticipation, but sometimes it can be a matter of, wow, like, this is going to be a big year. You might have a little bit of those, again, those emotions and feels. How's 2025 going to turn out? Is it going to be better than 2024? Is everything going to be okay? This book serves multiple purposes, and just huge proponent of this book by Ashley Donegan, Adventures of Snuggs. So we now shift, because the trolley is going to head back to the beautiful state of California. The sunshine, the beautiful blue skies. Not to say that it's not sunny and blue skies in other areas across the country, because we do hope that that's the case outside of California. So again, the trolley's racking up a lot of mileage. We go from San Diego, Pittsburgh to Kansas City to the beautiful Nook. That's one of my favorite words, even when I can see the beautiful Nook that is located in Oxnard, California. So that is just right outside of Los Angeles, in Ventura County to be precise. We are about ready to share, and I'm so excited about this because they've done great work with this story, and they're an amazing duo. They're co-creators in life, and they're co-creators in the world of children's literature. Michael and Nicole Collazo, their debut story, Cozy Critters on the Ark, which is the first installment in the Cozy Critters Storytime series. If you remember the late radio disc jockey Casey Kasem, when he hosted America's Top 40, if I'm not mistaken, he would always give those long distance dedications. And we're about ready to give one of our versions of the long distance dedications here in the Neighborly Reviews Bookcast. So this goes out to Michael Collazo in Oxnard, California. We are wishing Michael a happy birthday, because from when this episode premieres, September the 12th, 2004, Michael is celebrating his birthday. So, Michael, we do hope that this is the most blessed and magical year of your life to date. And this book also ties in very similarly to Adventures of Snuggs, because as you're going to be sharing momentarily, David, when we crack the cover and dive inside the pages and go inside the pages of Cozy Critters on the Ark, we're introduced to a very precious creature who's also experiencing a lot of change. He's experiencing a lot of unknown as well, too. And, he's experiencing some emotions and some feelings as well, too. But he learns the fact that there's more support than maybe what he realizes. So support can come in different forms. It can come from a security blanket. It can come from mom and dad. It can come from grandma, grandpa. It can come from fellow friends and neighbors. So before we crack the cover and go inside the pages of Cozy Critters on the Ark, would you also like to wish Michael a happy birthday as well too, David?
I will take the time to say happy birthday, Michael, and I will add a speedy delivery, Michael. I hope you have a good day.
Yes.
And
not only a
thank
good
you,
day, and not
and
only a
thank
good
you.
day, but a great month and a great year. Because one of the great things about birthdays is that, you know, every day should be a birthday where you can
That's
take a day
right.
to celebrate yourself each and every day.
Well, let's read the Birthday Boys book.
Yes. So not only the Birthday Boys book, but Michael and Nicole Collazo. So I don't believe that Nicole actually celebrates the same birthday as Michael,
No.
but Nicole, we do hope that you have an amazing year ahead with Michael as well, too, because you know this is really just the start of something very special for the both of you. So again,
but I'm sure she's helping celebrate.
Yes,
his birthday.
100%.
So
let us
now
go to the pages, David, of Cozy Critters on the Ark, co-created by Michael and Nicole Collazo.
And it says that the pictures in the book are by, or the drawings are by Michael.
Yes.
So, and there's a note from Michael and Nicole before the story begins saying that no one is too small to be important. The story is a friendship between the small and the big creatures that share the world together. And that's a little preface that they have in the book that sort of sets up what's going to happen. Well, the story opens with Rufy, and Rufy is a workaholic mouse. He was taking some time out to rest, but the first illustration shows him relaxing and reading, enjoying a warm beverage. And there's a sign on his wall, just remember that says, "Hard work makes a happy home." Well, but all of a sudden, there's a loud crashing sound of a water pipe breaking, and the Rufy tries to fix the leak but can't reach the pipes. And water fills his not whole home in the tree and washes him out of his home. Well, Rufy had to build a new home, and as he was preparing to build his new home, he heard a loud and heavy footsteps. And a big man appeared, and his name was Noah. It's getting a little symbolic here, but his name was Noah, and he explained to Rufy that Rufy's friends, who are the Cozy Critters, are helping him, Noah, with a building project. And Noah went on to explain that the person who created the world is planning on washing everything away and start the world over again. And that's what Rufy heard. Well, and then he went on. A big storm with oceans of water is coming, and the Cozy Critters are helping Noah build a big boat so he can stay safe. Well, Rufy stayed at Noah's camp that night because remember, he was washed out of his tree and he couldn't sleep. Well, being a workaholic mouse, he had some work to do. And the next morning, Noah discovered that Rufy was sleeping beside a finished ark that he built. They built overnight, I guess, but Rufy did it. It was a well. He. I don't think maybe the ark was already built. I guess, don't you think? It was built, and Rufy was sleeping beside the ark. I guess that is the interpretation I have. But at any rate, the ark is there. And when Rufy woke up, he saw that Noah had left him some breakfast. And Rufy was a bit confused. Why is Noah so nice to him? Being a mouse, he wasn't as cuddly as Cooper the guinea pig. I think it's a guinea pig or it's a hamster, but at the end of this, we'll find out how the guinea pig came to be in the story. But everyone loved Cooper, the guinea pig / hamster. Next came a voice saying that all animals should get into pairs and board the ark. And Rufy was daydreaming, but a loud clap, clap, clap came from the bossy Henrietta the rabbit. And she was determined to get everyone in the ark. And she did that by going around scooting, get in the ark, get in the ark. And Noah took his family and went into the ark. And then the animals started to arrive, and they all were going into the ark. And the next 2 pages show all the animals arriving, and 2 by 2. And then Genesis is quoted describing the arrival of the animals. And it's ending with a verse from Genesis. This is what it said. It ended with this verse. Then the Lord closed the door behind them. They were all in the ark, including Rufi. Well, the rain began to fall and flooding was all around, and Rufi didn't like the noise. He wanted his tree home. He missed his tree home. Well, Rufi slept that evening with a bunch of cozy critters and humans, and he was feeling less afraid. Well, during the day, Rufi helped Noah with chores, and when Noah would rest, Noah had to rest with Cooper, the hamster or guinea pig. Rufi, not wanting to be cozy yet, would make a list of chores for the next day. Now, we knew he was a workaholic mouse, and he's keeping that up. He's making a list of chores for the next day because they're on the ark now. Okay, it was a busy life on the ark, and Rufi helped the humans take care of all the animals. And the cozy critters and the humans became good friends. So, this one day, Rufi got an invitation to come to the dining room, only to find out that the humans and the cozy critters had a surprise tea party for him, and it was in his honor. Rufi felt overwhelming joy and wondered if that joy, it was the feeling of being loved by the family. I like that. If that joy was the feeling of being loved by a family, that's a very key sentence, I think, in the book. Well, that night, as a result, I think of partially of this feeling of joy, he changed the sign in his room to read, "Happy hearts make a happy home." Now remember, the sign at the beginning of the book said, "Hard work makes a happy home." Well, Rufi slept peacefully that night, and he woke up and heard a loud crash. Oh no, the pipes have broken in the ark, and it was filling with water. Rufi was in trouble, swirling around in the water, when just then a lasso or rope was thrown by the cozy critters, and they pulled him to safety. And in the illustration, you can see the cozy critters on the back of an elephant. And they're all up there, and they threw the rope down and they pulled him out of the water. Well, then the critters put aside all of the differences they may have had. This was sort of the time when they all came together and appreciated each other for who they were. And this, oh, I forgot to say, well, I had a note here to make sure to, oh yes, to get over to a bridge so Rufi could fix the pipes, the critters, they formed a bridge with their hands.
That's true.
Or feet or paws or whatever, and Rufi was able to walk across and fix the pipes, and only Rufi could fix the pipes. Well, and there's an illustration of Rufi standing on top of Cooper's head and fixing the pipe. And the words on the page say, "With little faith and a lot of friendship, Rufi saved the sinking ship." Well, Noah woke up to discover that Rufi and Cooper are fixing the pipes. Well, just then, a dove appears with carrying a branch. In the in a way, the pipes brought things together. The pipes came together as a result of Rufy and Cooper, but all of the people became friends, and the animals, they all came together. So bringing the pipes together in a way is symbolic of everyone getting together and appreciating each other's personality and talents. Well, the ark floated safely across the waters, and Noah knew that land must not be far away, since the dove appeared with an olive branch, a peace sign. Things were getting peaceful in the ark. Once on land, it was time to leave the ark, and everyone's hard work in caring for one another made the journey a success. Back on the ark, though, the two friends, Rufy and Cooper, the hamster or guinea pig, enjoyed one last hot drink, and then met up with Noah and the cozy critters. And then on the last page, the illustration shows a beautiful rainbow that God placed in the sky. And this is a wonderful illustration. And standing looking at the rainbow is Noah, Rufy, and Cooper, with the rainbow floating above. Noah thanked them and told them that love never fails. And the last sentence in the story is, that is why, to this day, the cozy critters say, to have a pal, you have to be a pal. And then I liked how the words on the page, there are two more. The last words are, thank you, Rufy, and thank you, Cooper. And that's the end of the book. But there are some bonus pages for coloring or for just enjoying the many cozy critters. And it about the author's page, it says that Michael, talking about birthdays, surprised Nicole with the guinea pig. This is going back before the book, I think. And somehow that was Cooper was the inspiration for the crazy critters world, if I'm interpreting that correctly. Right. That Michael brought a pet home, or maybe a couple of them. And I think from that present, well, it's interesting. That was her birthday. She got the critters. Critter.
Full
it's
circle.
A circle.
Full circle.
And then came the creation of the cozy critters world, and that is the story of
Cozy Critters on the Ark.
Cozy Critters on the Ark. Now, going back just a little bit, I think at one point the Ark was already built. I don't think that, my interpretation, he did not build the Ark all by himself, I don't think, magically. Noah had already started the Ark, and I think Tootie was helping with that. So the Ark was already.
I see one of the passages here. It says, a storm as big as an ocean is coming, and the cozy critters are helping Noah build a big boat to stay safe.
Yes.
So again, the great thing about children's books, David, is that it leaves room open for interpretation, right? So so in essence, whenever there's a big task, like, for example, moving for the first time in 30 years.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
You had mentioned how you had your children, come in even from different parts of the country. One of your sons lives in Pittsburgh. He came in, and that you had your other son who lives in New York City, I believe, came in to assist a little bit. And then you had your daughter who lives in Los Angeles, came out.
She came in
and helped as well too. So in essence, like, you had your own Cozy Critters on the Ark experience where you had the entire Newell clan right? Come in so you can understand, thankfully, you weren't preparing for an end of the world kind of flood, right? But you were definitely experiencing significant change. And
That's right.
this story really, helps kids to remember is that whenever you're moving through change, that not only will everything be okay and everything will work out, but there's always trusted neighbors on your path that will help you along the journey.
Well, that's right. And, mentioning that too, as we moved out of our old house, so we've been in there for over 33 years, there was a pipe that burst.
Oh,
and we had to have emergency plumbing, and it had to be fixed before the house could be sold. And 3 days later, they had dug up the pipe and put a new one in, and everything was fine. And the house went up on the market and sold, and here we are. And it did work out, but there was some doubt there. And so it's interesting that we're talking about this book and the pipes broke
the
on
parallel.
the ark.
You literally lived Cozy Critters on the Ark
Yes.
before sharing the story here on episode number 41 of the Neighborly Reviews Bookcast. Several other great takeaways, and thank you for the beautiful, heartfelt narration and share, David, in a very simple and not necessarily overwhelming way. This story also introduces children to the Bible. So, of course, Cozy Critters on the Ark, if you put 2 and 2 together, when you think of the Ark, you think of the Bible story, Noah's Ark. And so, kids are able to be introduced to various passages from the Bible. You had mentioned Genesis chapter 7, verse 8. With them were all the various kinds of animals, along with the birds and the small animals that scurry along the ground. And then it continues, chapter 7, verse 15, 2 by 2, they came into the boat representing every living thing that breathes. So again, it's this very subtle reference. You don't necessarily have to be a reader of the Bible each and every day to really connect with and understand Cozy Critters on the Ark, even if you are of a different religion. And so, David, there's really so many great takeaways from the story. Maybe one of my favorite ones is that any place can be a home if it is filled with love. You
Yes.
mentioned very beautifully at the beginning of the story how you see in the back behind Rufy, it says, hard work makes a happy home. And then by the time you sort of get to the, more towards the end of the story, it shifts to saying happy hearts make a happy home. So it's almost as if there is this, this, and not even necessarily change of belief system, but this opening of the heart of the story and an opening of Rufy's heart, because there are many people that feel that in order to be happy, you have to work hard. And hard work is very important in life. Don't get me wrong, but eventually you can get to a point when you take the time, you do the due diligence, you put in the hard work. If you believe in yourself, if you allow yourself to remember, the love that you are. We always mention how, Mr. Rogers weighed 143 pounds during his entire natural adult life. And that was his way of saying, I love you, 143, right? So it's a matter of when we're reminded of the love that we are, the love that surrounds us, that again, everything is going to be okay. We can connect more to the belief of happy hearts make a happy home as well too. And it's very interesting, David, because one of the things that has shifted since we've last spoken, we're mentioning about happy hearts make a happy home. So coming off the heels of the successful second annual Building a Culture of Reading in Your Classroom, which is one of the largest back to school themed children's book discussions for parents and educators and librarians all across the country. Special thanks to Sharon and Randy Hampson from the iconic children's entertainers, Sharon, Lois, and Bram, Brady Smith, and Alyssa Schwartz. One of the things that I now proudly hold in my hand, if you want to talk about happy hearts make a happy home, we now have PR from the Heart swag. These are heart pens. There's actually a limited edition. We're not selling these as of yet, but you see what the first limited edition looks like. I'm really holding them in as of right now. So it's just interesting when we're talking about happy hearts make a happy home. We're still in the midst of celebrating the 10-year anniversary of PR from the Heart. So just another thing to be grateful for are the new PR from the Heart pens. And also the last thing to be able to mention from the story is the passage, and this is shared perfectly on the back of the story, that love never fails. That even though there's changes in life and nothing necessarily lasts forever, there's always changes and ebbs and flows all throughout life, but love never fails, right? Knowing the fact that, and again, this goes back to reminding children, especially at a very young age, that everything is going to be okay, that everything is always going to work itself out, that when you take the time to love yourself, you allow more love to be able to come into your life. So it's just really awesome how both of these books, even though how they're uniquely different, they're uniquely similar in the messages that they share with children. You can, of course, pledge your support for the birthday boy, Michael Collazo, and his amazing wife, Nicole, the co-creators of the Cozy Critters Storytime series. You can purchase your copy of Cozy Critters on the Ark. You can head on over to Michael and Nicole's official website, which is the CollazoNook.com. That is COLLAZO Nook.com, the CollazoNook.com. You can also head on over to Amazon.com if that's your preferred online vehicle of your choosing. You can leave a 5-star review after purchasing, reading, and enjoying Cozy Critters on the Ark. And that lets Michael and Nicole know that they're doing wonderful and much needed work for children, parents, families, educators, and for those who love great children's books. As we always like to say, David, on every episode of the Neighborly Reviews Bookcast, when you head on over to your favorite local library, your favorite children's or independent bookstore, you know where I'm going with this, David. They are the pillars of our community, right? If they do not stock their copies of Adventures of Snuggs or Cozy Critters on the Ark, make that kind recommendation. This is the little tip of the cap here at the Neighborly Reviews Bookcast. Make that kind recommendation and let them know that you heard about both of these empowering reads, Adventures of Snuggs and Cozy Critters on the Ark. Let them know that you heard about it right here through the Neighborly Reviews Bookcast. And little Forrest, when he loves a children's book, it's kind of similar to when the late movie critic duo Siskel and Ebert, when they loved a film, they gave it 2 thumbs up. Well, little Forrest proudly gives 2 paws up for Adventures of Snuggs and Cozy Critters on the Ark, as we always like to say on our sister program, the Children's Book Spotlight Series. And we'll say it here as well, too. It's one of the fastest growing endorsements in the world of children's literature is when Little Forrest proudly gives 2 paws up for the story. But when we hear the trolley, that means that it is time to go. But David, before we place the bow on episode number 41 of the Neighborly Reviews Bookcast, what are some of the things that you learned today, other than that it was Michael's birthday on your end of things, and noticing the fact that you literally lived Cozy Critters on the Ark before you reviewed the story? What are some of the takeaways? What are some of the things that you've learned through our trolley stop here today?
Well, especially with the Cozy Critters, the Noah's Ark story is a classic story in itself that is a wonderful story. And both books, Adventures of Snug, they're both books that can be read 50 years from now and will have the same impact, because it's not so much the artwork, it's the messages that come out of both of these books. And I think one of the ultimate messages to feel good about yourself. If you feel good about yourself, you feel good about others. And I think the mouse, Noah, and the girl who loves Snuggs, they all felt good about themselves. And I hope in turn that these books that are read by children or read to children, let them know how important that is, to be able to feel good about who you are, and in turn you will feel good about others. And all of that sort of came from these 2 books to me. I hope that was a long-winded answer to your question.
No, David, that really clicks I feel as, now we're taking the time to reconnect with all new episodes of the Neighborly Reviews Bookcast. It's a very timely message, not only for children as they're back to school and immersing themselves in the new school year. This is also really like a giant cloak of love to all the parents and to all the educators out there right now, because this can be a time where emotions can be heightened and, parents wonder, are my kids going to be okay? Am I going to be okay? Educators can wonder the same thing as well, too, because there's a lot of change happening in the air. And we're not just talking about that it's an election year, but there's a lot of change happening within the air as of right now. And so I think that these books are also important. You mentioned about how kids need to know how precious that they are, and not even just that everything is going to be okay, but that as we always, as Fred always said, as the neighborhood always shared, that, kids, it's important that they know that they're whole, that they're loved, that they're special, that they're whole, that they're healthy, that they're complete just the way that they are. It's why we always close out every Neighborly Reviews bookcast with that same message. It's important that parents and caregivers and educators, and even if you're not necessarily, a caregiver or a custodian of a little one, you have that inner child within you, and to take the time to be able to reconnect with that inner child in you. But fear not, there are many more magical trolley stops to come on forthcoming editions of the Neighborly Reviews bookcast. Raise your hand, by the way, if you have had fun here on episode number 41 of the Neighborly Reviews bookcast. We see hands from myself and hands from David, paws up from little Forrest, and hands up from the little ones on screen. As we like to say, that means mission accomplished, job well done. If these messages that we have shared, not only the books that are Adventures of Snuggs and Cozy Critters on the Ark, if the messages within the message have inspired you, if they've lifted your spirits, if you say, John, David, I now know that everything is going to be okay. I'm not just going to say the phrase all is well and really not mean it. I know for a fact that everything is well in this moment. Everything is going to be continue to be well moving forth from here. Even if you have your own David Newell Cozy Critters on the Ark pipe break experience, everything will always turn out okay. One of the many ways, again, that you can pledge your support for us here at PR from the Heart, for the Neighborly Reviews bookcast, and also for Ashley Donegan and for Michael and Nicole Collazo, and for their empowering reads that they're now sharing with the world. Subscribe to our official YouTube channel if you haven't had the chance to do so. Share this very special trolley stop that you have been enjoying, that you have probably enjoyed. That is episode number 41 of the Neighborly Reviews bookcast. And share this very special trolley stop on your favorite social media platforms of your choosing as well, too. Again, if you haven't had the opportunities to do so, head on over to riffpittsburgh.org/donate. Again, each and every month here at the Neighborly Reviews bookcast, when we park our posteriors and we have this wonderful trolley stop that we do each and every month, we always like to give shout outs to the team at Reading is Fundamental Pittsburgh. Once again, they are the Pittsburgh affiliate, the Pittsburgh branch of the National Non-for-Profit Children's Literacy Organization. They provide children's book developmental resources, literacy tools for children that come from low-income families all across the country. And again, did you know that just last year alone, that Reading is Fundamental Pittsburgh delivered more than 100,000 children's books to over 23,000 children in need? One of the many ways, again, that you can pledge your support. Remember, no donation is too large, no donation is too small. You can head on over to riffpittsburgh.org/donate and pledge your support, not only during the start of the school year, not only during the holiday season, but even if you're watching this Neighborly Reviews bookcast episode long into the future. They're continuing to provide resources of care for children in different ways, shapes, and forms. But we're excited here because not only we are in the midst of the back to school season still here at PR from the Heart, but then we get into that transition time where we head into the autumn season. We feel the autumn wind, even though it's about 100 degrees here in San Diego where we're located. So we're not feeling much of the autumn wind yet. But sooner than we know it, it is going to be the holiday season. And again, we're excited. We've already alluded to this in past trolley stops. But of course, it's very special when I have the opportunity to hop aboard the trolley and head on over to Pittsburgh. So as part of our November and our December Neighborly Reviews bookcast episodes, David and I will be returning to spend some quality time. We'll be returning to spend some some good time, not even just quality time, but good time with our friends and neighbors at the Center for Media Innovation in downtown Pittsburgh on the campus of Point Park University. And we will be having 2 in-studio episodes of the Neighborly Reviews Bookcast. So we'll be celebrating the entire holiday season in the Steel City. We've been doing Neighborly Reviews Bookcast episodes in studio with our friends and neighbors at the Center for Media Innovation for the past several years. But David, we haven't had a chance to spend the holiday season together. And so I'm really excited about those in studios that we're going to be doing because and I believe that, again, for those who live in Pittsburgh or have an affinity in Pittsburgh, they will remember the Kaufman's Clock. And it is still there. And I would always remember from what you've told me in the past, how like all of the shops in downtown Pittsburgh would be lit up beautifully. And so I'm really looking forward to spending the holiday season with you in Pittsburgh for our November and our December bookcasts, which will be episodes 43 and 44 to be precise.
And I just wanted to add just one little point here, that Pluto, the streaming service, is now streaming Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood 24 hours a day. So I hope some of our viewers and listeners will take advantage of that and let people know, because I don't think a lot of people know. So the Neighborhood is still here, still helping children. Fred's helping via television. We're helping via books.
Yep.
And so here we are, trying to bring the good word to a lot of children. So we're here. So I'm looking forward to the next bookcast, and our viewers will be able to find that out if they stay tuned, I guess, right?
That is 100% correct. I'm really glad that you mentioned Pluto TV, because yes, if you're wondering, where can I watch Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood? Well, of course, for those who have the physical DVDs, I know that they're starting to kind of phase those out a little bit. And now a lot of it is just the digital and the streaming. You, of course, have PBS Kids as well, too. But again, if you go to Pluto TV, which is one of the more popular streaming platforms, it is literally a 24-hour-a-day Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood dedicated channel, which it's kind of like Christmas comes early if you're a Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood fan, David.
But of course, the support of all these years of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood initially came from PBS, public television, and Fred was always so thankful for all of their help. So it is still available on PBS Kids, but also now on Pluto and I think Amazon. So I want people to get the benefit of those years that we made that program. It's a program unlike any other program for young children, as the bookcast is like any other bookcast. So I think we've said all of our plugs now, right?
We have, except one final sentence before we officially commence the housekeeping. If you are a children's author and would love to have David and I deliver a heartfelt review of your brand new children's book on a forthcoming episode of the Neighborly Reviews Bookcast in 2025, as we will be celebrating our 4-year anniversary in. Technically speaking, we'll be celebrating it in February, but since there were no bookcast episodes for the months of July and August, in the first quarter of 2025, we're going to be celebrating our 4-year anniversary. And we look forward to sharing many more of your books as well, too, because if it's not for the children's authors of the world, there would be no Neighborly Reviews Bookcast. So again, if you would like to be able to have David and I deliver a heartfelt review of your brand new children's book on a forthcoming episode of the Neighborly Reviews Bookcast, you can connect with us via our official website, prfromtheheart.com, or connect with us via any of our social media platforms that you now see on screen. Instagram, Facebook, and X, all at PR From the Heart. And children's authors, David, they are making plans. They're making plans for 2025, which is going to be the best year ever if you are a children's author. But if you are stepping into the world of children's literature for the first time, or maybe you've written multiple books, and the world of media, David, many people may not necessarily know, but you actually did PR for Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. And the world of PR and publicity it's a lot to be able to learn, and it's important that you have dedicated support along the way if you are a children's author. We have been proud, privileged, blessed, and honored to be of service to some of the top names in the world of children's literature, ranging from John Parra to Catherine Roy, who'll be winning a Caldecott, I feel, at some point in time soon in the foreseeable future, and the iconic Sharon Lois and Bram Skinnamarink Dinky Dink, Skinnamarink Doo, we love you. So we've had the opportunity to be of service to some of the top names in the world of children's literature and those shining stars whose journeys are just taking flight. If you are a children's author and are looking for dedicated PR publicity support to help you share your inspiring story in the release of your brand new children's book, whether it be during the holiday season, whether it be in 2025, connect with us via our official website, prfromtheheart.com. Schedule your courtesy connection call and let us see how we can be of service to you. One final time, again, the books as part of episode number 41 of the Neighborly Reviews Bookcast, the empowering reads that we shared, Ashley Donegan's Adventures of Snuggs and Michael and Nicole Collazo's Cozy Critters on the Ark. They are now available. You can head on over to Amazon.com if that is your preferred online vehicle of your choosing. After purchasing, reading, and enjoying your copies of Adventures of Snuggs and Cozy Critters on the Ark, you can leave a 5-star review. That is your way of pledging your support, making that little tip of the cap to Ashley and to Michael and Nicole. It lets them know that they're doing wonderful and much needed work for children, parents, families, educators, and for those who love great children's books. Remember, if you head on over to your favorite local library, your favorite children's or independent bookstore, they are the pillars of our community, of course. If they do not stock their copies of Adventures of Snuggs and Cozy Critters on the Ark, make that kind suggestion. That's where the tip of the cap emoji comes in. Let them know that you heard about them right here on episode number 41 of the Neighborly Reviews Bookcast. But again, as we hear the trolley, that means that it is time to go. The trolley's been very patient with us today's other. We appreciate a patient trolley because a patient trolley is a good trolley. It's going to be a safe trolley to get us to our next destination. We want to thank you for your continued support of PR from the Heart, for your continued support of the Neighborly Reviews Bookcast, because again, without you, there would be no us. For your continued support of children's authors and illustrators across the country and around the world, such as Ashley Donegan, Michael and Nicole Collazo, who again are doing wonderful and much needed work for children, parents, families, educators, and those who love great children's books. For the pillars of our community, local libraries, children's and independent bookstores, above all else, we want to thank you for helping us to walk home the children of the world. One final time, David, we give a little tip of the cap to our favorite friend and neighbor, Fred Rogers. You spent many years, many decades with him, assisting him with his mission and his life purpose, his time on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. As we mentioned a little bit earlier in the program, did you know that Mr. Rogers weighed 143 pounds during his natural adult life? You might be wondering, man, like, did he find the fountain of youth? Did he meet Ponce de Leon in a past life? No, I think maybe the swimming at the local aquatic center, I believe it was at the local Y, might have had something to do with it. But I share this because in his own little private numerology, that was Mr. Rogers' way of reminding himself that he loved himself and reminding everyone that he loved us. And so as a little tip of the cap to our favorite friend and neighbor, Mr. Rogers, we like to share our favorite 3 numbers of 243. That means that there's 2 letters in we, 4 letters in love, 3 letters in you. As little Forrest and David were kind enough to join me here in our neighborhood for another episode of the Neighborly Reviews Bookcast, we are reminding you of your inherent worth and your inherent value. Just like Mr. Rogers did in his own way, he did that whether it be through the neighborhood, whether it be when he talked to children in hospitals, whether it be when he traveled across the country. He reminded all of us each and every day of our inherent worth and our inherent value. And we're doing the same here on the Neighborly Reviews Bookcast as we always close out every program. We're reminding you of your inherent worth and your inherent value. We see you. We see that you are worthy of so much success and that you're doing amazing things now and you're going to continue to do amazing things, that everything is going to turn out okay. Everything is going to be okay. So again, there's 2 letters in we, 4 letters in love, 3 letters in you. We are reminding you that we like you, that we love you just the way that you are, that we again see your inherent worth, your divine value, and that you are whole, you are healthy, you are complete, that you are special, that we like you, that we love you just the way that you are. So for little Forrest, who is now 2 years old, for David Newell, for myself, John Masiulionis, we thank you for returning back to our neighborhood for a highly anticipated return of the Neighborly Reviews Bookcast. We will see all of you in the month of October for another Trolley Stop episode number 42. And again, you'll be seeing us back together again. We will not be the two squares on a screen. We'll be together in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, celebrating the entire holiday season for the months of November and December on the Neighborly Reviews Bookcast. Thank you for your continued support of PR from the Heart. Thank you for your continued support of the Neighborly Reviews Bookcast. For children's authors and illustrators, for local libraries, children's and independent bookstores. David likes it when I say they're the pillars of our community. But again, we want to thank you for helping us to walk home the children of the world, our fellow friends, our fellow neighbors, and our fellow shining stars. Goodbye for now.
Bye.